good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janelle Ajani, and I'm so glad that we could all be here together today. I want to thank the organizers for this symposium for the honor of speaking here, and especially Ines, who is a phenomenon. When myself, along with her team, Susan and Hanan, and when myself and my co-curator for this project I'll be talking to you about today, Shannon Ayers-Holden, who works at Al-Stakal Avenue in Dubai, approached Ines about the exhibition and participating in the symposium. She was immediately receptive, and we were just so happy. And I could tell that she was not only a woman with vision, but she knew how to get things done. So I really appreciated that. Last but not least, I definitely want to thank Fatia Toure. I'm so proud of her and the work she's doing here at NYU Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much, Fatia, for your unwavering support and making it possible for me to travel here to the campus. So I'm going to tell you a shortish, longish story. It was sometime late in 2008, and I was working at a small museum as a coordinator for a teen photography program. And I decided I wanted to go back to school at NYU. So I don't know how I found out about it, but there was this career day event at NYU, but it was only open to internal NYU employees. But I found the event, I found the building, and somehow finessed my way past one of the security guards and basically snuck in, got my CV ready, and while I was there, I met this really kind and generous HR specialist. And from that day forward, I proceeded to keep in touch with him for about a year and a half, keeping him abreast on everything I was doing, basically semi-stalking him, and telling him everything I was up to. And he was so impressed with my persistence and eventually called me in for an exploratory interview. And around this time, it's around July 2010 now, I happened to catch a program on PBS television with the former president of NYU, John Sexton, and he spoke about this idea of the NYU Global Network University. He proceeded to then talk about the UAE and this vision for NYU Abu Dhabi. And I remember him specifically speaking about the idea was to build this university, build this campus, and then wait 100 years to see how it could transform a society. And I just thought this was so profound. So I called up my friend, the HR specialist, and told him, I need to work at NYU Abu Dhabi. And a couple of months later, I started in an entry-level position, working for the provost's office and assisting with faculty recruitment. And I was specifically assigned to the NYU Abu Dhabi Dean of Science at the time, Dave Shikutano, who I have to say I was so moved to see yesterday. It's been a really long time, and he's such a wonderful person. And I don't know if he really knows this, but I learned a lot from Dave about the topic at hand today and this kind of importance of interdisciplinary thinking around integrating the arts and science. And in preparation for this talk, it occurred to me that I think I actually first learned about Henrietta Lacks from Dave because the book had came out the year I started. So I think I either saw a book in his office or I know it was from Dave that I first learned about Henrietta Lacks. So this is really like a full circle moment of being here, particularly thinking about working with Dave to coordinate the various science committees and global fellowship program, and also thinking about the fact that because when I was working at NYU Abu Dhabi in those early years, that this vision for the university, for this campus, was basically just a concept. It was sand, it was Saudiyat Island. So being here today is really wonderful. I also remember, being in meetings with the senior leadership, seeing architectural renderings and photographs. So to actually see the full manifestation of this university is just really heartwarming and special to me. So the intention of this talk is to workshop some ideas for the upcoming exhibition that myself and Shannon will produce in conjunction with the NYU Abu Dhabi Project Space in June. We want to say a special thank you to Maya Allison and her dynamic team at the NYU Abu Dhabi Art Gallery. And they have really exhibited a lot of patience with us. I think Shannon and I have probably thrown out so many ideas, everything but the kitchen sink. And much to the pleasant surprise of her team, we changed the entire concept of the show last month. So they're having a lot of fun with us. And so we might need to pray their strength for dealing with us. But in all seriousness, I just want to thank Maya and her team and for their diligence and their tenaciousness, and really just for helping us to make this exhibition a success. So Henrietta Lacks was an African-American woman who sells became the foundation of the HeLa cell line, one of the most significant tools in medical research. Born Loretta Pleasant in Roanoke, Virginia, she was the daughter of Eliza Pleasant and John Randall Pleasant. After her mother's death in 1924, Henrietta moved to Clover, Virginia, to live with her grandfather, Thomas Henry Lax, and there she met David Day Lax, whom she married in 1941. The couple had 5 children: Lawrence, Elsie, David Jr., Deborah, and Joseph. In 1951, Henrietta sought treatment at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore for vaginal bleeding, where doctors discovered a malignant tumor on her cervix. She died that same year, on October 4th, 1951, from complications related to her cancer. And without her knowledge or consent, a common practice at the time, cells were taken from her tumor by Dr. George Otto Gray. These cells, known as the HeLa cells, were unique in their ability to survive and reproduce indefinitely in laboratory conditions, making them invaluable for scientific research. HeLa cells have been instrumental in developing vaccines, cancer treatments, and numerous other medical advancements. The use of Henrietta's Lax cells without consent raised significant ethical and legal questions. Her family remained unaware of the HeLa cells' existence until 1975, leading to concerns about privacy and commercialization of human biological materials. And in 2013, the Lax family reached an agreement with the National Institutes of Health to have some control over the HeLa cells' DNA sequences. In August 2023, the family reached a settlement with Thermo Fisher Scientific, a biotechno company due to profiting from the sale of HeLa cells without consent. The terms of the settlement were confidential, but it marked a significant moment of justice for the family. Henrietta Lax's legacy endures through the HeLa cell line, which continues to contribute to medical research and has led to numerous scientific breakthroughs. I'm going to warn you that I'm going to present some very abstract ideas, and sometimes they may seem like they're applicable and sometimes not. So just bear with me. At the end of this talk, you might say, hey, I totally get it, or you'll say, like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and both responses are totally fine. Okay, so here we go. So this is a film still from the artist Bami Adedoyin. She's a multimedia artist and collagist based in New York City. She uses the visual languages inherent to photography, collage, and animation in her work. Adedoyin's work has been exhibited as part of the AIM 27 exhibition at the Bronx Museum of the Arts in galleries in San Francisco, Philadelphia, Minnesota, New York, and Brooklyn. She's been awarded residencies from the Newark Museum in New Jersey, Chasma North, and the Bronx Museum of the Arts. So the artist and I have been just talking briefly about ways to present not only Henrietta, but like just a nuanced way of telling her story and elevated thinking about her story, her life, and the impact that she has had. And I mentioned to her this interview that I had watched with Ava DuVernay, who at the time was presented with the opportunity to produce A Wrinkle in Time, and she didn't want to do it. And the movie executive came back to her and said, Ava, think of the worlds that you could create. And so that had me thinking really about Henrietta and the different worlds and the lives that she has touched. This is the work of Keisha Scarville. She's a Brooklyn-based photographer and visual artist. The next series of images you'll see juxtaposed with Keisha's images and images of HeLa cells. Scarville's work explores identity, memory, and transformation. Drawing from personal and collective histories, her work often incorporates elements of absence, displacement, and fluid nature of selfhood. Scarville's practices merge photography with collage, layering, and also archival footage and mixed media to create deeply textured and introspective compositions. I also want to mention that these works are from her recent book, Lick of the Tongue, Rub of a Finger, and Soft Wound. So Scarville, her work is has been exhibited at institutions such as the Studio Museum of Harlem, the Brooklyn Museum, and the National Portrait Gallery, among others. She has also been featured in publications including the New York Times, Vice, and the New Yorker, and much of her work is influenced by her Guyanese heritage, particularly her series exploring grief and remembrance following the passing of her mother. So I'm thinking about ways to layer narratives, not only with the artist's intended meaning for the work, but also thinking about Henrietta's life. Through Scarville's innovative use of portraiture and abstraction, she continues to push boundaries of contemporary photography while meditating on themes of belonging, metamorphosis, and the unseen. Moving between practice and archive, Scarville uses the form of the artist's book to reflect upon what it means to create new genealogies by disrupting conventional linear histories. I also want to mention that the curatorial choice that we're thinking around of using these black and white images comes from thinking about medical imagery and specific to cancer detection. So now, about this title, Hustle Though Ambition Flow Inside Her DNA. It's taken from a one-line rap lyric from Kendrick Lamar. This is him performing at the Super Bowl recently. He is the first and only artist outside the classical and jazz genres to be awarded a Pulitzer Prize for music in 2018. The title was chosen really for its rhythmical quality and cadence. I'm wondering, if there's some kind of rhythmical or cadence to the HeLa cell and regeneration, and maybe some of you scientists could help me with that. It may not appear grammatically correct, but it's cool nonetheless. And then I want to mention some friends of ours. A colleague of yours, Alexis Gambis, will be helping us out with this exhibition. They're doing some really great groundbreaking work at Labocine, and they're going to help produce videos for the exhibition, as well as create a playlist for us for the duration of the exhibition. And I also want to mention our friends at Cinema Kiel, who Shannon and I have been meeting with for the past year and a half to curate a separate film program with feature films and animated films. And we hoped it would open last year, but I believe it may be the hope to have it appear sometime around the Henrietta Lacks exhibition opens. So we'll see, and we just want to thank our friends at Cinema Kiel, and particularly Bethana Kazem for her great work and her team. So I'll close here. Thank you so much for your time. Please come and say hello to Shannon and I and share any ideas you may have. Remember, we are not scientists, so we need help. And I hope that some of you will be able to come back and see us in June when we open in the project space. So thank you.